I recently tried Sifu, and with the game dropping on Game Pass as of October 2024, I thought it would be the perfect time to share my thoughts on my playthrough. Spoiler alert, this game is incredible. Honestly, I'm surprised that more people haven't played it, and it's a game that's very slept on. Sifu really does deliver in every department for me when it comes to the art direction, the soundtrack, the gameplay, even the story. Even though the story is straightforward, I think that's all this game really needs. The really cool thing about this game is that it's not just one of those beat 'em up games. It's got a really unique twist to it. So you can either play as a male or a female protagonist. I chose male for my playthrough. You basically battle your way through the level, fighting regular enemies, mini bosses, and then one main boss at the end. Unlike most games, instead of having to play through the entire level in one go without dying, or reaching to a checkpoint and then respawning, when you die, you instantly respawn. But you age. Not only do you age, but you have this thing called an age counter that increases every single time you die. And depending on that age counter, that's how much your age increases. Your first death adds 1 year, your second death adds 2 years, and so on. The older you get, the higher the stakes. If you reach a certain age, it's game over. And that's when you'll have to restart the level. It really does give you that every move counts feeling, and it forces the player to use their surroundings to their advantage. There's skills that you can learn, such as environmental damage, where you can throw bottles of glasses or kick chairs into people. And there's also weapon mastery, which really does help you beat these bosses and enemies. It really does add a fresh take on the genre. Now, while the aging mechanic is great, it's the combat that's the bread and butter, personally, for me. This is where the game really shines. Everything just works, and you feel the progression of becoming a kung fu master. At the start of the game, you're limited to a few moves, but over time, you start to unlock more and more and more. This really does add more depth and variety to the game. Now, the finishers are super satisfying, and at times, I really did feel like I was playing John Wick, but just without the guns. And if you're a fan of the Arkham games, you really will feel right at home playing this game. The combat system, the combos, the finishers really did remind me a lot of those games. It's really the same fluid style, and I couldn't be happier. Now, this game might not be for everyone. This game is challenging, and because of the aging mechanic, you are only as good as your last playthrough. Once you finish a level, whatever age you're on, or whatever your death counter is what you play on with in the next level. And all the skills and the combos that you have unlocked is what you move on with. But if you decide to replay that level to end on a younger age, everything you unlocked during that last playthrough is gone. Unless if you spend extra points to permanently unlock those skills. Whatever age you started at with whatever death counter you had at the beginning of the last playthrough is what you will play with going forward. And there are trade-offs to aging. Other than the fact that you have less chances to beat the level, your starting health decreases, indicated by a red line on your health bar, but you can hit enemies harder. Another nice detail is that you can't learn certain skills after a certain age limit. So if you haven't unlocked them, the only way to unlock them is to go back and replay levels. I think that's the game's way of saying that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Now, replaying levels might sound frustrating, but what this does is really just push you to really master the game. And once you master the game, you feel so accomplished, and the game is just so much more satisfying to play. I think the levels are so well designed, and each level is so unique and memorable that it's not a drag to replay them. Each level also has its own shortcut, so if you do want to replay those levels, you don't have to replay them all the way through. You can just take the shortcut, which will sometimes take you straight to the boss. Now, the levels aren't procedurally generated, so all the enemies and their placement stay the same. So there is no luck factor in the game. It's really just testing your skill. Now, for those worried about the game difficulty, I know this game won't be for everyone, but I think Sifu really does a great job in introducing gamers into those Souls-like games, even though there are many, many differences. But the thing about Sifu is that it's short, clocking in around 8 hours to beat. It took me about 12 because, well, I'm not that great at video games. Sifu teaches you that it's okay to fail, and with every death, you get a little better and better and better. At the end, you really do feel like you've truly mastered something. Now, it's not harder than the Souls-like games. That's why I think it's a very good introduction. Just like the Souls-like games, you do have to memorize enemy attacks, their positions, so it's not as difficult as those Souls-like games, hence why it's a good introduction. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, and I think this is very cool and really shows how much thought the devs put into the game, is that every time you age, your voice sounds different. The older you get, the older your voice sounds, and the younger you are, the younger your voice sounds. I think that's a very cool attention to detail. Now, the story is very straightforward. It's really reminiscent of Kill Bill. You're hunting down enemies from your past. Personally, I don't think it needs an over-the-top narrative. It's simple and it works. Interestingly enough, one of the bosses from the game looks to have taken major inspiration from Lady Snowblood. I was also playing this game live on stream and someone in chat told me that they're making a Sifu movie. So I'm very curious as to how they expand and the narrative more detailed. Now, my only real complaint about the game was the camera angle. Occasionally, it does screw you over. It covers your line of sight at critical moments, especially when you need to dodge an attack. It didn't really break the game for me, but there were definitely a few moments where it made me yell at my screen. Other than that, I think Sifu is fantastic and it really showcases why small developers deserve more recognition. The combat is satisfying, the aging mechanic is clever, and the replay value is very high. Whether you're a veteran of challenging games or someone looking to dip their toes in one, the game has something to offer. And with it now available on Game Pass, there's really no reason to try it. Those are just my thoughts. Now I want to hear yours. Did the camera angle bug you as much as it bugged me? Or are you someone new just getting into the game, saw this in Game Pass, and decided to pick it up? Let me know everything down in the comments. I'll be there replying. You can also follow me directly on Twitch, where I play almost all my games live and hang out with the community. If there's something you disagree with, come let me know on stream. I'm always down to chat about gaming. I'll leave a link in the top of the description. And if you enjoyed the video or found it at all helpful or informative, clicking that like button really does help. I really do appreciate it. I have to get back on working on my next video, but until next time, take care.